Hello and welcome to the DynamiXX Simracersworld GT Series. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me this evening is Marco Barbonet, broadcasting live on ApexRacingTV. We're here for round 7 of the championship, and what a championship it has already been, Marco. Unfortunately, you weren't around for last week when we were at Sebring, but it was a fantastic race, as the majority have been so far this championship. And around this Bathurst circuit, I'm sure we are going to be in for another enthralling round.
Absolutely. Hello everyone, hello Sam, nice to be back. Apologies for the little delay in getting live. It's week 13, and week 13 usually it's full of perils. We were able to solve it. Now, of course, Sam is downloading everything because it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of stuff, so you have to bear with him for a second. But yes, it's so exciting. We are running a bit late even in the session because usually this is around the time we start with qualifying, but we are 7 minutes away from qualifying, so we still have time, and we still have some, nice time to talk about the championship and talk about the previous round, Sam, and enjoy some of the views of Mount Panorama. As you can see, we have some cool new features thanks to iRacing. We will not have the chance to take a look at the new headlights that have been improved, and I've been told they have been improved significantly. But also we have, this new feature of the motion blur, which I'm not particularly a fan of, but I'm seeing that it really makes the picture a bit more, modern looking. I don't know, it's very, very cool, and yes, hopefully, the stream doesn't explode, and the folks at home like it, because otherwise, I can easily get rid of it, but seems like very, very nice feature. And so how was the Sebring race, Sam?
It was very good. Once again, kind of domination from Martin van Loosenor due to the fact that Ivan Gnecton, who I don't think is here either today, but he wasn't there last week either. And when those two aren't battling one another, it is usually an easy victory for him. But particularly the battles, kind of between the drivers from about 2nd down to 10th place for the entire race, they were separated by about 10 seconds or so, ever so close. Also had a few kind of standout drives down the field from a couple of the bronze drivers. Had some controversy in that as well, and so it was a very good race. And of course, Bathurst is so good because this is probably the best opportunity for a few drivers to sneak a few points, because of all the races in the season, this is the most likely way you can have crashes. And those drivers who maybe want to accumulate a few points in the overall standings, maybe want a podium in their respective classes as well. Certainly a fantastic opportunity for them to score some today. And it could be a little bit of a mix-up field, because this Bathurst circuit, of course, can really have specialists. We've seen that in real life, of course, on sim racing as well. It is that unique.
Exactly, and you absolutely made a good point there. We have a track where it's important, imperative to keep the car clean. But as I say every time we run around here with any series, it's massively important to be in the mindset that you don't have to make a mistake to be involved in something. It could be someone else's mistake. So I think that these drivers will know that tonight the winner not only is going to be the best driver, but you also need a little bit of luck, as we see. We might have very well have a surprise winner. By the way, thank you to all the drivers that put their pictures on the overlay software. For example, Davey Whittables is here and is running with his Ferrari, second in practice right now, and he has a nice picture. Let's see if we have other drivers with a picture. See, those ones that are racing. So far, big disappointment, only one apparently. But it's my first time that I have someone with a picture. Oh no, here we have another. Dion Phillips has a picture. And I have to say I'm also thinking about uploading a picture, even though I have no idea when I'm going to use it. But
No, your history on Apex Racing TV, the few races you have competed in, haven't tended to end
especially
particularly well.
on this track, it's
Especially on this track,
and
yes.
yeah. Also, Ian Roots, nice picture, and he has enjoyed with the rest. Big portion of the Sim Racers World community. They have been down in Zolder this weekend to enjoy some racing and have some fantastic meat. I saw some pictures that looked like very tasty barbecue. So yeah, we have apparently a couple of minutes left, and I'm scrolling down the pictures, and of course it's very easy to upload your picture. There's the software. Oh, Steve Clays also has a picture. Oh, see, Steve Clays is very smart because he put a picture with a transparent background, so this really looks like a real life broadcast, with like in the F1 broadcast when there's the silhouette of the driver with the transparent background. So he gets big thumbs up from me. But of course, I'm only taking a look at the drivers who are actually running around on the racetrack, so there are many of them in the pits. And let's see in these 2 minutes that we have left. I think most of the drivers are okay. They are just waiting for their qualifying to start. And Sam, it's going to be crucial to start at the front. There are a couple of spots, especially in the first lap, all race long, but especially in the very first lap, where you want to stay in front because if something happens, you have to basically call the police because there is the roadblock and you need to remove the cars, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. That can cause some big issues. Of course, if you're at the front, you need to be a genius to realize that, of course, you are less likely to get involved in those collisions. It's kind of that middle back region where you're going to be in quite a few problems. Potentially, if you're right at the tail of the field, you can kind of just watch it all go on ahead of you and just waltz your way through when it all starts to kick off. But you're absolutely right, Marco. Around this part, around certain parts of the state, up the at the top of the mountain, it's can be extremely difficult in these cars. Of course, some of these drivers will have experience from the 12 hours of Bathurst. I'm not sure if that actually happened this year. Certainly happened in previous years, though. That's always a fantastic race with the GT3 and the Porsche cars. So, yeah, certainly some experience the drivers might be able to carry from that. And of course, that's a 12-hour race. This 1-hour race today, of course, a pit stop involved. Expect that around the 40 to 45-minute mark with the high fuel consumption around this circuit. So expect a little bit of strategy playing in, but of course, no changing of the tyres. Approximately 25 seconds to change tyres, and of course, certainly not worth it. Practice just coming to an end currently. As you can see, we'll then have a 10-minute qualifying session, which will obviously set the starting lineup. And then, then we'll be up and running for this hour-long race. Would love to take you through the championship stands. Can't currently find them as it stands, but in terms of the calendar going into the next few races, as I think Marco, do you
Yes.
have the points, Marco?
Oh well, in the drama of the pre-race week 13 shenanigans, I forgot to put them into the overlay, but
Ah,
I have them in front of me, so don't worry, because we have all the three mini championships plus of course the overall. We start from that, and we have Martin van Loosenord, your championship leader. He has got 85 points in the bank. Sorry, 450 points in the bank. 85 is his drop score. Marvin Amans in second, but of course he is not taking part in the league anymore, I think. Lewis Ward is in third with 365 points, 70 drops. And to find Jeff van Genekten, we have to go down to P4 right now. He's got 320 points, 37 dropped, and he is, missing from the previous round and also from round 4. So he needs to, he needs to come back because, you drop two rounds. You can drop 2 rounds. You already dropped two, so he's, in a bit of a predicament. For the silver class championship, David Whittables is your leader, 124 points over Jeremy Essels. He's got 84, and Nick Sherman has got 82. So very, very tight, especially for second and third place. And the bronze drivers, David Fuller is your leader, even though for the first time he didn't win in Sebring. And then we have Ben Tains in second with 72 and 66 points for Sam Bentham, who took home the victory in Sebring. So we have a new winner in the class. By the way, qualifying is underway, so let's see who gets pole position. Sam, it's going to be very, very interesting session, like we said, crucial to start in front of everyone, or at the front of the pack.
Yes, absolutely. And I've just figured out how to find the points. I think I was having a slight mental breakdown where I couldn't realize where the points actually were located on the website. Of course, the Simracers World website, do check it out. It's very well organized. But what the 10 rounds I've done in this championship already, still haven't figured out how to get the points, but I can now refer to them. But no, yeah, qualifying at the front is absolutely necessary for this race. And of course, overtaking can be quite difficult around this circuit. You wouldn't think it with the extremely long straights and the relatively hard braking zones. But the fact that the track is just so narrow, it can have issues, particularly at the end of the lap market. It does help that these cars are fantastic on the brakes, particularly the BMW, partly due to their ABS system, is very effective in these cars, and also there's the fact that they do carry quite a bit of downforce. We could still see some issues potentially there, and maybe into turn 2 as well, where a few drivers are going to take some different lines and potentially could have some issues.
Absolutely. As we are seeing the first drivers come into the on the start finish line, and you can see that we are having Martin Valusanov, provisional pole, 0.7 over Tom Methrol. So who is going to challenge him for pole position? Let's see. We are, I'm putting my bets on Marcel van der Linden for the first row, maybe even for pole position. We will see.
He was very strong at Sebring, it must be said. He qualified on the front row on that occasion. In fact, the top 4 drivers, I think, had Van in their name. It was quite unusual.
In the
Clearly,
meantime,
the way to go.
Yeah, there is a new driver that I didn't know he was going to race because once again, week 13 drama. You have to think, 1 hour ago I was setting up, despite what I say of myself, sometimes I like to be a professional, no? Especially for a great championship like this. Well, for all the championship, you want to get everything ready, no? And as soon as I was starting my preparation, boom, blue screen of death on the computer, overlay not working, drama. So yes, there was a bit of an issue, and I see there is a new driver that I need to put into our software, and I already found him here in the very, very nicely organized spreadsheet that the championship provides us. So he should be in a proper graphic in a second. Let's see.
Who was that driver? Was it Kevin van der Slick?
Yes.
Yes, he made his debut last week. And actually was very impressive as well, consistently bouncing in the top 10, I believe. And currently the top 10 kind of dominated by the gold jerseys. We've got Martin van Diesel on pole position, currently with Dion Phillips in second, Andrew Hockley rounding out the top 3. While Bolan just going out for another lap currently in 6th position. And yeah, and David Whitspell's currently leading the silver drivers, and well, he'll certainly be very appreciative of that because at Sebring, it wasn't necessarily the fastest silver driver. It was Stephen de Wolf coming away with the victory that time, but certainly establishing his dominance, 9th overall, and top out of those drivers. And Lee Woodburn currently the leader out of the bronze jars. I don't think we've seen anyone beat David Fuller in qualifying so far this season, Marco. So this would be quite a turn up.
And we are seeing only 13 drivers have set up a time so far, so we are seeing many drivers, I think, having issues on the wall. Let's see if other drivers are coming through right now. I think we've got... Oh no, sorry, we have many drivers with a lap time, so... I think... Well, they say that when it rains it pours, no? Okay, now it works. Okay.
Awesome, nice one.
Lost the timing power for just a second. Sam Bentham, see here, he's sitting in P19. Let's see the positions in class, like you were saying, as we are only a couple of minutes away from the end of qualifying. And in their class, or in his class, like you were saying, we have got Sam Bentham, leader of the bronze drivers and leader of the silver, and I think already happy with his time is David Whittables, who is sitting in the pits, Leclerc style, hopefully with better results, and I think he's going to have much better results than him. Quite sure of his class pole position as other drivers are coming. We have James Obden, he doesn't have a valid time so far. Where will he jump? Well, he's in P21. But let's see, Marcel van der Linden is, still without a time. And he's the, P31 if he doesn't set a time, and if no one else sets a time. So let's run on board with him. But first, let's see if Chris Moretta can improve on his time. Comes in the S's, the chase as it goes to the final corner. If you turn right, you go to the National Museum of Motorsport. If you go left, which is recommended, you go on the start-finish line. And Chris Moretta, P5, so he improves quite significantly, I might say, and gets into a nice top 5. Let's see Van der Linden trying to beat the pole position set by Martin van Loosener. Of course, Van der Linden, teammate with Atomic Motorsport of drivers that of Yves van Genegten, who is not racing today, and also a teammate of Odier. Can't remember his name. Very, very, very good driver in the Euro V8 Championship from Austria. Who had that beautiful Niki Lauda livery the other day.
Harold Stadler.
Harold Stadler, thank you very much,
There
Sam.
you go.
Here comes Van der Linden, 7th, 996. You can see the new flagman. Hopefully, Sam, you can see the new flagman.
Well, unfortunately, I can't at the moment. I can't quite appreciate it.
Because, yeah, we have new animated flagman at the flag stand. So every time there's a checkered flag, yellow, full course caution on the ovals, white flag, whatever, you will see. Let's see if Martin van Loosener goes, on the start-finish line, and he should be because he's improving. You might see him maybe from the chopper. Let's see. We should see on the top right of the screen. There should be a... No, Martin, why are you stopping there? No glory for the flagman, apparently.
Oh dear. Well, they clearly modelled it on you, Marco. That quality of flag waving can only come from a Vallelunga experienced marshal as yourself.
Yeah, I was very happy when they modeled. Hopefully now this will mean that in a while, I don't know how long, we might get fully animated flag marshals. It's going to be Interesting. There you can see on the left side of the screen, waving like a maniac. That, I don't know how his arm is not falling off. Man, I think I am the least enthusiastic flag waver in the world. I take it very, very easy. I make ample movements. But the
Oh,
system,
Italians aren't meant to do that. They're meant to be flamboyant with the flag.
my more expert colleagues, you know, I think they are breaking the sound barrier with how quickly they wave the flag when there's something going on. But yes, here we are. Qualifying is over. Just waiting for the session to switch over, and we will be ready to give you the starting grid for this round from Bathurst, round 7 of the season. Of course, we are here after in week 13, so the cars have changed a bit. Not much, but still there are new. Always iRacing has got this impressive quality sim of always improving. So I think that maybe these drivers, they are very, they are very quick, so they know what they are doing. But it's always a bit of a little bit of a maybe apprehension before you drive in, after the new build. But it seems like everything is working. It's not like the days where a new build came out, you had to wait like 3 days and hope that iRacing would work. So, whilst I think it's a big risk to host a race during the week 13, it's certainly, working tonight. So here we go with the starting grid for this 7th round of the championship.
Yes, and unfortunately, I think you're going to have to go through the
Yes.
starting grid just as I load into the session, Marco.
Absolutely. Martin van Loosenord is your pole sitter. Then we have Andrew Hopley. He will start in second for Meraki Racing. Then Dion Phillips, Tom Mettrell and Chris Moretta. Ruben van Buell in his BMW will be in sixth. And Bob Boland and Marcel van der Linden. Then the leader of the silver class, Davy Whittables. Then we have Matthias Tige, Steven De Wolf, Gregory ranks in 12th. Iwan Marshall, Lidimer, P15 for Ian Roots, then Jeremy Essels is in 16th, then John McConville, 17th place. Ben Thames, leader of the bronze drivers, is in 18th. Stuart Musselwhite, Ronald Moons, Steve Clays, and Robbie Carenduff for Nomad Sim Racing. Sam Bentham and Craig Jones, two bronze drivers, 23rd and 24th. William Bush for Nomad Sim Racing as well. James Obden, Lee Woodburn and Kevin Bolland. Ben Muse, 2 seasons ago he was the amateur champion in this series. Thijs van den Berg in 30th. Ben Llewellyn and Scott Malcolm. Kevin van der Slick, P33 for the Racecraft Esports driver. Then rounding up the grid, no, not rounding up the grid, is Steve Kastrop. And then we have drivers who I suppose are, serving a pit lane start penalty. Nick Shermans, Roy Verbeek, Sebastian Everer, David Fuller, and Dries Mujdi. He will start. These guys will more than likely start from the pits, and it might not be as big of a penalty as you might imagine, especially if we have some drama at the start, which I hope we don't. Because a couple of weeks ago we were here with the Sim Racers Asia series, and it was quite a very, very tough day of work for the marshals, and they are rolling. So yes, we are absolutely ready to go.
Yes, well, I'd like to say that I'm 100% ready to go. I am just loading into the session currently. Apologies to everyone, but was just downloading some of the updates. So unless I say otherwise, Mark, I think you'll have to just take us through the first few corners of this
Absolutely.
60-minute race.
Absolutely. Pace car taking the hard left. Martin van Loosenord riding on the curb and flooring it now. The green flag is in the air as the marshal waves like a crazy man as they go into the first corner. Many cars side by side, especially in the back. 3 wide there. Will they make it work? They do. While in the back of the pack, seems like everything went well. Hopefully. Yes, they are taking it very, very easy. So good job. As for the first time, we ran over the crest and into Mountain Straight before we take the right-hander Griffin Bend as Andrew Opley overtakes thanks to the good use of the slipstream Martin van Loosenord, and there's some contact in the back. Some contact, Chris Moret, I think. Oh, and then into the fence is Bot Ball, and then we have a massive crash. Everyone piling into one another, seems like scenes of Macau, as we have a complete roadblock. Dear me, I have never seen anything like this. This is absolutely crazy. The cars are trying to start again, but we still have some drivers stuck. This is Kevin Bolland of Nomad Sim Racing. Ben Thanes is also involved. It is absolutely a disaster for all these drivers. I think that only the first 12 drivers were able to get away from that absolute chaos, Sam. What a disaster as we are running down the hill for the first time into the chase, but what we didn't want to happen sadly has happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I just caught the start of that, but managed to catch a little bit of the end as Andrew Hopley is losing out to well, that's Martin van Loosenord then defending, I think, against Hopley. So fantastic start for Hopley, straight away putting some pressure on the championship leader. As off the circuit
Oh,
goes
Chris
Chris Moretta
Moretta!
and into the wall. Is he going to collect anyone else? No, he's done a good job of getting it stuck. Quite remarkable how he didn't bounce back onto the circuit there, but those tyre walls can absorb a little bit of the car, but that's no relief to Chris Moretta whatsoever because he is surely out of the race. And you can see how spread out the field already is after that lap one calamity. And yeah, plenty of issues for a lot of the drivers out there. We'll try to keep you updated with how many drivers quite got involved in that one. But still, after 1 and a bit laps, we've got Martin van Liesveld leading the way. And that BMW behind of Andrew Hopley, absolutely fantastic performance from him so far. Meraki Racing generally running 2 and 3, very successful.
Yes, so Meraki Racing R8 for Andrew Hopley, despite him driving a BMW, like we said many times. He switched car in progress, as we have start under reviews as Bert Delman. Is of course one of the stewards and also a former competitor in this championship. So Andrew Hopley switched from the Mercedes, from the Audi to the BMW. So it's like a case of the, 2010. Oh! That's risky. He'll get a slowdown for that. Like the 2010 example of the BMW Sauber Ferrari.
Oh, yes, of course.
And I was watching the season review of that championship, and the FIA produced a review, and they were calling it BMW Sauber, despite not being at all a BMW. But yeah, officially it was BMW Sauber. So this is the same case with Meraki R8, and now we have who's that? Bot Boland putting pressure on the leader of the silver drivers, Davey Wittebos.
Yeah, so Wittebos will he get too involved in this one, just staying behind. Lee Dima, good start for him, up in second place in that silver category. He is up 3 positions overall. Actually, Steve Clay's just behind him, up 9 positions already, and Clay's just made another move. Demo trying to respond straight away, and that's some good straight line speed for the Mercedes, despite you can see quite a bit of front-end damage. Clay's makes that move stick, but he can still be under pressure over the next few corners. You've got Ewan Marshall, Ian Roots, Ronald Moons all trailing up behind. Ian Roots hasn't scored a point in the overall championship all season long. I don't think he scored a point in the gold championship all season long. Well, currently he is running in 11th position, so maybe today will break his duct. And well, currently there's quite a few gold drivers out of position, so good opportunity for him today. As Ian Roots, it looks like he's going to go for a move on Ewan Marshall. Oh, sorry, that's, yeah, and Roots can't quite make it.
I want to try and go for a replay of the start of the crash at the start of the race, but so much action going on. But yeah, that was absolutely crazy. If you guys want, as we have some issues for Lee Woodburn, he goes back to the pits. If you guys want, of course, every time we broadcast a race live, we have DVR function, so you can freely click back on the video and maybe watch it again, because It seems like, yeah, we're going to have a lot of action, but let's go to a replay now. Jeremy Essels. Oh, okay, that is not good. Oh! What happened to Jeremy Essels there? He was sitting in a very precarious position. Did he get contact with that? Is that Van der Slick maybe? Let's see. They were side by side. Oh,
Ooh, yeah, I think
wow.
there was.
Straight into the fence. And that was a very bad crash. And you see the
Oh,
other
good
drivers
avoidance.
trying to
Ho,
take
ho, ho, ho.
avoiding action there. Let's try and get a replay of the start. Maybe Sam will have issues with this because he wasn't still 100% loaded. And see, because there was a big problem in the very beginning of the start. You can see if we can click on Chris Moretta, if I can find him in this huge field. Yes, he's in P37. Okay, good, because of course he crashed. You can see they are running side by side, and there's some contact there, and some more contact. And now you will see, as they turn right for the mountain, you will see he is going to basically clip the wall, clip another car, lose a bit of momentum, and I think that what set the chain reaction, basically. Then you can see his teammate there. Getting involved, and then you can see everything. Like mayhem, complete mayhem. And you know, ABS is so useful, but in these cases, as you can see, the cars are completely stopped. You know, ABS is good, but sometimes when you have to do a emergency kind of braking, like in this case, you know, it tends to, yes, you don't lock up, but you know, the space of your braking is really big, you know. So, but yeah, let's see how the race will evolve. Of course, this is a big change because many drivers are, like you said, out of place. Most of the field involved in that was either silver or bronze drivers, but there are also some gold drivers here and there. So Sam, as one of the drivers involved, is Steven the Wolf and Robbie Carendaff as well. You can see the damage. Many cars have a lot of damage. They have no fast repair, so they are going to have to nurse their cars for 1 hour around this racetrack, and it's very tough to do.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers have championship interests, of course. They won't necessarily be fighting for the championship, but still want a decent position. So they'll probably try to stay out there, but of all the circuits to have to carry down, this is an extremely difficult one. You want absolute confidence in the car on the mountain, and then down these straights you want to have as little drag as possible. You can see Steven DeWolf really losing out currently with his bent rear wing. There's undoubtedly a little bit more damage to that car as well. After a good qualifying as well for DeWolf, and after a fantastic Sebring round, winning his first race of the season, but not going his way today. Van der Linden trying to make up a position, currently sitting in P5 just behind Dion Phillips. And just comparing where they started, yeah, Phillips down 1 position and Van der Linden up 3. Always a very good racer is Van der Linden, much better than he is in qualifying. You can see he's certainly got the top 3 in sight at the moment.
No further action for the lap, for the start, for the very beginning of the race, the starting procedure. So I don't know if they're going to then take actions for what happened there, climbing on the mountain. As Matthias De Tige is pointing in the wrong direction, in a very troublesome spot, and he does the smart thing. He tows back to the pits because he was basically a sitting duck there. Let's see what happens. So, Brock Skyline, the curb. We have all been there, and that's some big damage. So even if he was able to get the car on the track, I don't think he would have been able to go much further than that, Sam, because that was a pretty big hit on the left rear of the car.
Yeah, absolutely, and he did well, to be fair, to get the car stopped almost immediately, and didn't involve any more cars. But you can see the difficulty of this battle circuit already. Quite a few drivers kind of making self-mistakes. John Methel has a small mistake of himself, and going a little bit defensive, maybe defending against fresh air there. And it could cost him quite a bit, although it must be said Dion Pitts not nailing the exit of that turn one. Quite a fast corner. It's cool, is it called Hellhole or something?
El corner.
Hell corner, there you go, because apparently if you used to get it wrong, well, it was pretty much suicide back in, I think that was like the 60s or something on motorcycles. Yeah, if you got it wrong, then your chances of surviving weren't too good. It's not quite as intimidating as more, as Methdol is really wide there, but just about hangs onto it, and, well, he'll be very thankful that this part of the circuit is extremely narrow, otherwise he'd undoubtedly be overtaken by a couple of cars by now.
But he's creating quite a queue behind him. I cannot find of anything clever to say with the letter M.
No, ugh.
But, you know...
Oh, what about the Methyl Metro, perhaps?
Good one. Good one.
Thank you.
You can see Dion Phillips, Marcel van der Linden, Ruben van Buell. All these three drivers are starting to queue behind the driver now occupying the third spot on the podium, which is, of course, like we say, Methyl for Meraki Racing AMG, in this case driving a Mercedes. So keeping his team name into in effect, as they now of course battle for the slipstream down Conrad Straight and into the Caltex chase using that little bit of tarmac there. Phillips seems very feisty as they jump on the curb, and the status quo remains the same, but now Van der Linden putting Phillips under pressure.
Yeah, it's tough to go around the outside at the final corner. Really does narrow the circuit. But Van der Linden, fantastic exit, now puts his car to the inside. You can go around the outside through this turn one. It's that much of a sweeping corner. But Van der Linden's surely going to have the bets line. No, the Audi keeping his foot in, and now look just behind. Ruben van Buel's going to try to get involved in this one, but you can see there's barely enough space for a Mercedes and an Audi alongside one another. A BMW, despite its small size, is not going to be able to interfere with this one. Just pulling ahead at the moment is Van der Linden. But Phillips with the better line, Van der Linden needs to go and be pushed up to the wall. He's a little bit offline, maybe a little bit onto the marbles as well. But hangs onto the car, and yes, still no changes. Come very close to a couple of overtakes in this big battle. Once again, running a little bit wide in that corner is Dion Phillips, just inviting the pressure from behind.
Absolutely, as by the way, we lost Lidimer a few corners ago.
Oh,
we will get back to that as soon as we can show you a replay, but let's focus on this battle. I'm looking at the live timing. Basically, the first 13 guys are those who survived, and went through, because if you see the gap is then a massive 10 seconds between P13 and P14, and that this is, Kevin Van der Slick is having a fantastic run. He's up 19 positions, but of course, thanks to that big pile-up, he now has a lot of ground to cover from now until he can get into the, drivers that are hovering around 10th place.
Well, Van der Slick has a qualifying time which was 6 seconds slower than pole position. He's certainly a lot faster than that, so I don't know why he set that time. As we're going to see side by side again, Van der Linden really confident on the brakes. He's not made the corner though, and he's surely going to lose out to Van Buel. Is there going to be contact? Well, Van Buel will not be happy with the manner in which Marcel came back onto the circuit there. No flashing of the headlights as far as I can see, at least. But, well, you can see how he'd be a little bit aggrieved by that one, with Van der Linden almost losing control coming back onto the circuit. But, well, maybe that'll be a warning, but I don't think next time he'll get away with that one.
Before they go into the mountain, let's see what happened to Lee Dimmer. The Excite Energy race car straight into the fence there, and that will be a retirement, sadly, for him. Let's go back to this battle.
Yeah, that was Ian Roots who he was fighting against. So a collision with a driver. He wasn't actually fighting for a proper position. That's a chance at a top 3 in the silver category gone for lead team. So he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. Only quarters of an hour into this race, and already we've got so many casualties. One of which seems to be Kevin Van der Slick. the driver, who benefited massively from that first lap pile-up after starting very low down the order. And he actually came into the pits. So maybe it was a scheduled pit stop, I'm not sure. Oh no, well,
maybe
yeah,
crashed.
he definitely crashed because his rear wing was not that good looking when we last saw him. Oh dear.
And here is why you can see that him, in the distance, clipping the wall. So we jinxed him a bit.
Well, that's what we do. So,
They have spread out a bit in this battle for 4th place. Tom Methrel has been able to pull away, and now Philips, Van der Linden, and Van Buel, you can see there's 1.5 seconds covering the three of them. Back at the front, after a first lap in which he was overtaken temporarily by Andrew Hopley, Van Loosener got back into the lead, running away 5.4 seconds over the BMW Z4, and then behind him the Mercedes AMG of Tom Methrel, and you can see this train of cars. Let's run on board with the BMW for a bit.
yeah, the BMW seemingly going pretty well around this circuit. Plus the dynamic BOP in this race certainly aiding that. And I don't think there's going to be any changes for a couple more rounds. Certainly seems to be working pretty well at the moment after the slight added weight to the Audi earlier on in the championship. As Stephen De Wolf now having to come into the pits. And oh dear.
He was involved in the pile-up at the very start of the race. Did he get extra damage somewhere? Oh yes, he did. That was a big hit. That wall hurts, I can tell you. And he is, in some more trouble. By the way, this is the battle for the lead of the bronze class, and Theisberg, of course, with a fantastic avoiding action after the crash. Oh, he's very wide. And Fuller goes in the lead. Can he hold it? He can. Nice move.
Yep, so normal service resumed. Theisberg hasn't won a race so far this championship. And David Fuller looking after disconnect at Sebring after leading the race, was running in the top 10 overall, a fantastic performance, but had a disconnect due to some hardware with his computer system, and unfortunately had to retire from the race. But he's certainly put that behind him, looking to re-establish that very large championship lead that he currently holds. The battle for the lead in the in the silver category, sorry. Steve Close was very strong actually at Sebring. In the end, just lost out with a bit of pit strategy, and this time he's lost out due to a self-spin, losing the grip from the rear end of that Audi, as Dion Phillips having to go more defensive against Marcel van der Linden. Over the crest they go. Much better speed down the straight for van der Linden. This is going to be ever so close into this next corner. How brave will Phillips be? Van der Linden coming across him. There's going to surely be contact. I think there was just a little bit, and almost spinning is van der Linden. Now back comes Phillips round the outside. If he can just get his full car ahead, there's nothing van der Linden can do, and that's a very nice move there from Dion Phillips. Maybe the contact just aided that move ever so slightly. At the same time, van der Linden was a little bit aggressive when going for that move. But this battle, well, I'm sure it's getting a little bit personal now between these three.
And it takes a lot of bravery to fight side by side going up the hill with these big GT3 cars. But absolutely they made it work. Inches from disaster, as there in the back. Oh, that's a lapped car, so apologies. As they go now into the dipper and down into Forest Elbow to complete another lap. This will be lap number 10. This is lap number 10, the one they are on. And now you can see how the gap ebbs and flows over the mountain. Van Buel lost a little bit of contact. And now, once again, Phillips having to defend very, very hard on Van der Linden.
Yeah, it's always tough to defend around this part of the circuit because the outside turns into the inside. Down the inside goes Van der Linden. He's always very good on the brakes into this corner. Earlier on, he ran wide. This time, it's no such mistake. He takes it with ease, and he's finally up into the top 4. And, well, about time, up 4 positions now from his race start. Next up for him will be Tom Metals, who's kind of pulled away from these guys a little bit. 2 seconds up the road. Actually, Hopley now 9 seconds up the road as Ruben Van Buell coming into the pits. Perhaps, well, unusual strategy, Marco, because we've tended to see so far this season, drivers just kind of running as far as they can on fuel. Van Buell, no damage on that car, but going for the early stop.
You know, I think that the mess that happened at the very beginning of the race might have created a chance. You can see right now, since there is a big gap between most of the cars, and you can see, I think that Ruben will come out in clean air. No one around him. Let's see, in front of him there is no one, so you know what? That big crash might help these early stoppers. We certainly have to keep an eye on the number 48 BMW for the rest of the race, because this could be a very nice move, and I'm expecting someone maybe to try and copy what Ruben just did. Very, very smart choice. Could pay off very big come the end of the race.
Absolutely. Incredible sight from him there to spot that gap. It's anyone he's done sim racing before realizes that it's not necessarily something that's easy to do, to kind of look on your F3 screen whilst you're racing against other drivers to spot that gap, and of course take the care before the session to realize how much time you lose in the pits. But he's absolutely nailed that, and you're absolutely right, Marco. Has a few laps now where he can push as hard as he can before catching the likes of Steve Claves and Ewan Marshall, but that'll be a few laps away.
You know, that is
Stuart,
unless you use SDK Gaming for your...
well, of course.
Because it gives you the prediction of where you are going to come out after your pit stop. So, of course, Pascal always doing a great work, sdkgaming.co.uk, and you can get your monthly subscription and use, and also you can have the nice overlay that we're using, you know, for your streaming. But you know, also there are many features, and it tells you, you know, with good accuracy where you might come out after a pit stop. We also say thanks to Scott McFall for following us on YouTube. As we are having some issues with Discord. Discord is discording as per usual, so we lost Sam for just a second. Hopefully the situation will be solved by the good folks at Discord. So while we wait for Sam to go back into you know, human form and not a robotic form, we also take a peek at the chat when we have Sebastian Eberer that is talking about his you know, misfortunes. Oh wow, he's got a big computer issue. He had to change his main board of his computer during qualifying. Was able unbelievably to get back into the server and start the race, but sadly he went out in the third lap after some contact. So, you know, very bad luck for him. I think Sam is back, which yes, is not fair to say, because it's not you that you had, it's Discord that is having issues. But yeah, so basically what happened to Sebastian Eber is like when, you know, I remember drivers having big issues back in the days during the warm-up, you know, in F1, and the team trying everything to sort the car for the race. They do this fantastic job. The driver starts and gets involved in a first corner pileup. That is basically what happened to poor Sebastian in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. When the I don't know any precise examples, but I imagine there were occasions in old F1 where you'd have one start, you crash hop in the T car and then you crash again.
Oh, the
But
days where you had the third car, no? Those
yes,
were the days.
yes.
Then they abolished it. I was so sad.
Probably the right. When did they ban it?
It was around 2005, I think, 2006.
Okay.
It was, and in Italy we have a word for for the third car, which I am trying to find the translation of.
We call it the T car.
Okay, no, we have another name which I'm trying to find desperately. It's something related to agriculture, basically.
Oh, Ian Reitz, I think, has had an issue out there because he's suddenly dropping back. Was running
Yes,
around
that's
Royal
a blown
Means,
engine, I
and
think.
well, I did say earlier on how Ian Reitz might be scoring his first points of the championship. Well, he will not be anymore.
Okay, first Kelvin Van der Slick has some issues. Is that Ian Roots behind him?
Oh dear. Well, that is a contrast of luck, it must be said, because somehow I think it was Steve Clays who managed to come through that unscathed.
This is clearly not Ian Roots, that is Steve Clays, you are absolutely right. Let's go on board with Steve, let's see what happens. He was able, no, he was, lucky, in the sense that he,
Yeah, he
right
was just
place,
behind.
right
I think
time.
it was it Moons maybe? He just scraped through there.
Yes,
Here we go. There you go.
Oh, wow. Good avoiding action there. It wasn't easy. As per usual, you need a bit of luck. By the way, these three guys have been fighting for the past half an hour. This is something that we see very, very often. But before that, battle for second place. And not only that, in the silver category.
Contacts, I think, between the two of them there. And Llewellyn getting ahead. Now we've got another driver getting involved. Got Ben Mears also just up the road. So Llewellyn actually losing out there. And then, so Mears at the front of this chain.
Yes.
And then it's Berg, then it's Llewellyn. So Berg actually defending against the Welshman. I assume Llewellyn is Welsh.
Yes.
I don't want to assume anything.
Let's see. Let's bring it up. Oh no, he has the British flag, so we don't know, but I think he is clearly from Wales.
Yes.
By the way we call the T-car in Italian, we use the word muletto, and the muletto in English is the forklift.
Ah.
So
why the forklift?
I have absolutely no idea.
Oh, that's a little bit wide there for one of the cars. But going back to Phillips, what's happened to Metherell? Metherell has dropped behind Van der Linden and Phillips on that last lap.
You
So it's
are
lap time
absolutely
2
right.
seconds slower than Van der Linden. Also running up in P3, trying to come back against Phillips, but well, Tom Metherell will be kicking himself for that one because he'd managed to establish a little bit of a gap actually. This race that started so well for Meraki Racing, still pretty good, but was second and third, now second and fifth and sixth instead.
Here's Metherell. Let's see what happened to him, because he's not showing any kind of so maybe just a move. He didn't go off track.
Well, he was ahead of Van der Linden for this, I think. It was a very bad lap for him. I just got caught and passed.
Bad exit there, you see he was hugging the inside curb, and Van der Linden quite easily, I might add, slips past him. Because I think now, of course, Van der Linden will have the inside. And yeah, oh, also even before the corner, he was able to get him. So, a couple of, it's easy to make one mistake and then make another mistake, lose a bit of concentration, and that's 2 positions gone. So now Tom has to do it all again and try to get back. And now Bod Boland, his own teammate, is sitting behind him and trying to maybe join this fight, and who knows, maybe get a chance at a podium position.
Yeah, a decent chance for Bod. I think he got slightly involved in that first lap incident, but he's recovered very well since then and has gradually been catching these guys. He's less than 4 seconds off a podium. Earlier on, he was about 10 seconds off a podium, so that's very positive for Bod, and it might even be better for him and Tom to maybe swap positions, because on that last lap, Boland was 1 second faster than his teammate, matching the times actually of Andrew Hopley up in second position. Very much established now, the top 2 drivers, but behind that it is very much up for grabs. Because Martin van Liesnoff, Racecraft Esports Gold, absolutely dominating at this point in the race. 11 seconds clear of Andrew Hopley. And, well, it's a little bit difficult this, Marco, because you practice all week long, pushing on the limits, you're finding your limits, and then the moment where you stop doing that, that can often be the moment that you start making mistakes, because it's not the way that you've been practicing and not the way that you've been driving, which has got you into this fantastic position.
Hopefully Sam can hear me again. Wow, it's almost like everything that can go bad is getting tonight at the same time. So I missed half of your question.
Oh, well, was that Discord or
No,
or
it was me.
myself? Or...
It was me.
Oh, okay, fair enough. It was a very long-winded question. I will not bore the users with it once again.
No,
But
they didn't hear it. So
oh, oh dear. Okay. Well, I'm just wasting my breath, aren't I, explaining this question. Well, I was just saying how out in the lead, Van Liesnoord is so dominant. If he starts backing off, that's when mistakes could happen, because he's been practicing all week long, pushing really hard. And once he changed his driving style, that might cause some more mistakes.
from the my experience, usually when I try to drive, in a more relaxed way, or focusing too much on the safety rating, which is oh wow, Marshall and Clays, by the way. Uh, Trying to bring the car home, it's not like that, but trying to make the least incident points possible, as Clays now on the inside. Audi versus Audi, not going to work. I find myself making more mistakes than when I just, race to bring the car home, but also to be competitive, because going too slow is almost as dangerous as going too fast, in my opinion. And you tend to make mistakes, and this is why I think, as we have a very damaged BMW there. Oh,
Oh
the engine is
dear.
gone. Trying to figure out who that car is.
Was it Kevin Boland? No.
No? It was Stuart Musselwhite.
Ah.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No.
Was it? Oh, it was. Oh, I'll tell you what. It was Jeremy Essels coming out of the pits after his long repairs. You wait so long for a repair, and then here goes your engine. So
Well, that is literally what you were talking about earlier on, how the team has worked hard to get in a new engine, and he's blowing it up straight away.
Yeah, I think one of our friends of the Year One Racing guys that they did Le Mans this past weekend, they clipped the wall, blew the engine, waited like 45 minutes in the pits. Then, whilst they were repairing the car, the engine exploded. Hopefully, no mechanics were involved in that
Oh
explosion.
yeah, absolutely.
Because that is quite dangerous, I have to say. So, by the way, Kevin Bolland is having some big issues. running, I think, with William Bush, his teammate.
Well, fantastic synchronization currently between the
Oh!
two before he turned into the wall. I remember Martin Gunzelor always says about Monaco, you know, aim for the wall because you'll never hit it. That time he would have been very thankful for a little bit more understeer because, well, that would have been very useful. He wouldn't have hit that inside the wall. I think that's kind of what I was talking about earlier on, okay, that, you know, if you start not pushing, all of a sudden you got a little bit more grip on your hands and you can make some clumsy mistake like that. And, well, that was maybe just a lack of concentration, I guess. That's really all you can put it down to.
And you know, once you hit the wall for the first time and maybe you survive, as once again Marshall and Clays, Marshall gold driver, Clays is a silver driver. You know, once you maybe avoid an accident or you scrape the wall but you survive, you enter in this mindset of, you know, what if I hit the wall at the wrong angle? What if I, you know, hit the wall, you know, and I'm not so lucky, and you start, you know, second guessing yourself, and then, you know, before you know it, you end up in the wall because that is usually how it works. And any loss of concentration, even if it causes you to be a little bit more careful, in reality is very dangerous because you want to be, you know, 100% focused always long on your markers, you know, on your apexes and so on and so forth. So absolutely, one of the toughest things I think about driving around here is you know, that, because you know, when I drive around here in the Skippy, and I'm not joking, since I'm very comfortable with the car, I drive going up. I go up the hill on the mountain with one hand because it's so easy. It's so, you know, because you know what you are doing. But give me a GT3 or a, if you remember, the Porsche Cup car, and I am absolutely pathetic around there. So
Well, you can't handle a Porsche down the straights. So, you know, imagine you round a corner would be absolutely horrendous. Of course, never look at any screens whilst you're driving, as Marco found out. Also, the fact that it was pitch black, thanks to myself,
and
I
that
don't
was not
think
my
helped
fault.
too much. No. Still, yeah, I swear I'm never going to use that Fates UI ever again because that's my word of advice, at least to anyone on iRacing. Don't use the Fates UI to set a specific time of day. It's not worth it. Just use the normal website thing. Much better choice. Um,
Ruben van Buell, we are following after his early
yes,
pit
of
stop.
course. Yeah.
He's basically at the back end of the top 10 right now. He's got Ewan Marshall and Steve Clays in front of him. And I think we should see the leaders starting to pit in around 10 minutes time, more or less. We are already in the final third of the race. We are 1 minute away from the start of the final third of the race. And we have some lapped cars. I think that should be the only Team Med car in the race, so 100% sure that is Scott Malcolm, who is sitting in 22nd place right now and is in 5th position of the bronze drivers. By the way, Ben Tains is back on the track after his crash, but of course, what could have been for him. And we have a nice train of cars right now. Like I said, some of them are on the lead lap, some of them are not. But it's always tricky. Oh. But Boland risking a bit. Let's see if Methrol can have a run at Phillips here.
Yeah, Metal needs to get this done quickly. They are relatively evenly matched. They are relatively evenly matched on pace. But if he can get this move done straight away, then well, he's only 4 seconds behind Marcel van der Linden at the moment. But if these two start fighting, I really feel so that chance at a podium will completely vanish. Also getting pretty close at the moment between Clays, Marshall, and Van Buell. Also, Moons gets him closer to Witterbowls. What happened to Steve Clays? Has he just been struggling with pace? Because he was running pretty well earlier on, as we just have to go back to this, because this is Ruben Van Buell going past Ewan Marshall. That's an important move there for Van Buell. His lap time's very good, actually. He's actually faster than Marcel Van Linden. He might have half a chance at a podium with that extreme undercut, but only if he sides his way through Steve Clays. That'll pretty much be the only car he'll actually have to overtake before everyone else starts coming into the pits, and we'll have a proper representation of where everyone is in this race.
Steve Klesu just went by a couple of laps ago, Ivan Marshall. So what you see now on the track, 1, 2, and 3 in the silver category. So they are very close to each other. As at the same time, we have Methrel, Boland, and who's that? Phillips. So mistake, I think, from Methrel because he dropped quite far behind his rival there, and now he heads into the pits. It's Boland, sorry, that heads to the pits. So very tricky pit exit, pit entrance. Sorry. Let's see if Ronald Moons, who was the winner of the Immortal Prize, of the spinning wheel a few months ago, when Immortal did their giveaway during the BSR Porsche series, which we both entered, and we didn't win. If you remember, I had to spin the wheel like 5 times that night.
Yes.
Which made me very happy, but in the end I didn't win the prize, so...
Did I enter?
Yes. We
I
all
didn't know I did.
Me, you,
Why,
and...
why did I enter? I'm not a driver.
Because they gave, the... Michael Blake gave... Michael Blake? Dumble. Oh man. I'm confused.
Well, Michael Blake, yeah.
Michael Blake gave me, you, and Ryan, I think, yes, he gave us a special ticket to take part.
Oh, nice one. For that, I'm gonna say check out some Mortal models on Facebook. Some of their stuff is absolutely excellent, it must be said. And you can get a 1 to 16 model or 1 to 22 model, I want to say. That might not be 100% correct, but it's something like that. You can't get a full model. You can't get a race car, unfortunately. Haven't quite, established that market, but you can get a smaller one, which is, well, just as good because it can fits on your mantelpiece. Andrew Hopley is one of the drivers in because already who'd come into the pits was the race leader, Martin van Leesnod. He's currently stationary. As, well, one of these guys you'd imagine will pit on this lap. Van Buel's got to make some quick moves here. And, well, we'll keep an eye out on where he is in comparison to the likes of Hopley, Phillips, and Metal, because they've all just come into the pits.
Yes, so Van Buel tries to get by Claes. At the same time, in front of him, Bot Boland has already pitted, and Wittables and Moons are both in. So, Van Loosener has come out of the pits. Here comes Hopley. We should have... Boland might jump. Oh, they are coming out together. This is going to be very close, but I think that Phillips and Metherol will be able to stay in front of Bot Boland only just. And for Ruben Van Buel, the strategy didn't pay off in the end because he's more or less at the same distance that he was, earlier. And now, of course, he has to contend with Steve Claes, who has to pit, but he's very, very quick and looking to stay out for, I think, one more lap. Just like Marcel van der Linden did, and is the new leader of the race, temporary leader of the race, because I think he's going to head for the pits right now. But still, he gets, nice camera time, and he certainly is looking good for a podium finish when we're with only 15 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, it'll be a nice points haul for Van der Linden once again. Where is he in the championship? Well, with no Lewis Ward today. Ward, I was so happy with, because he'd got, in the first 3 rounds, he finished in 5th. For rounds 4, 5, and 6, he finished 4th. Absolutely superb consistency. It's up there with Marvin and Mons actually finishing third in 3 consecutive races. You know, the repetition of the 3 also is very much appreciated. But unfortunately, neither of those drivers are here today,
You
so they
know,
can't
yeah.
keep up those fantastic records.
And Sam, we know how much you like consistency. So
Oh, absolutely. Consistency wins championships, you see.
exactly. Also, by the way, side by side with Medrel and Boland, the two teammates. So Boland, in the end, jumps his teammate. At the same time, Van Buell cannot jump Steve Claes. Van der Linden is in. Let's see if Claes is in. By the way, congratulations to our very own colleague Ryan Walker, because he won the official iRacing Advanced MX5 Championship for UK and Ireland club, which is quite the achievement, considering that
Yeah, very competitive.
many of the best drivers in the world come from that of the MX5 come from that particular club. And it's the advanced Mazda, of course, with so the open setup series that runs every 2 hours. Steve Claes is in. Let's see. Ronald Moons and Davey Whittables are in the final or getting into the penultimate corner. Here comes Steve Claes, as we have been used to. Fuel only, no tires. And he is going. Oh, wow. He
Woohoo.
might jump them both, even though it's a very long pit lane. The camera doesn't do it justice. Oh, it's going to be super close. Oh, he's in second, in front of Whittables, behind Moons. I'm not sure that Davey is going to be happy with this. I think he might go for a move straight away. Or not.
Yeah, so lost 2 positions there, did Witzbols. Moons and Witzbols actually pitted on the same lap, but Moons had a 2-second, 3-second even, faster pit stop. It must be added, though, that no one had a quicker pit stop. Actually, a couple of drivers further down the order did have a quicker pit stop than Moons, but he had one of the quickest pit stops in the entire race. The fastest pit stop had the top 15 drivers, at least. And so just watch out for Moons at the end of this race, just in case he's maybe lacking a little bit of fury. So that's going to be under big pressure from Steve Claes in the closing stages.
Now let's
Well,
see if any of these 3 guys, sorry Sam, makes a mistake, because I mean, this is as close as it can get. If the fight in the front of the field is a bit spread out for the overall podium, these 3 guys, after 48 minutes of racing, are bumper to bumper, very close to each other. So I know they are going to push super hard, and Whittables has lost considerable contact with the rest of the field, or sorry, with the rest of of his silver rivals. And now he's in the clutches of Iwan Marshall, and something that you don't want to do, of course, because you want to stay, as close as possible to your rivals. As the trash truck has come under my house, so better to close the window. Hopefully the engine has
sorry, the
covered.
trash man.
The trash, the truck that takes the garbage, empties
Yeah,
the bins.
you have that in the evenings in Italy, do you?
We have it in the evenings or in the early mornings. Depends.
Okay, no, in the UK, we purely have it in the mornings, as far as I'm aware, at least. Having binmen in the evening is totally alien to myself.
It's either very early in the morning, like 6 a.m., or very late. And where I live in my summer house, which I rarely go there anymore because I don't like the sea and the beach. They do on Mondays they pick up the paper, on Tuesday the glass, that kind of you basically have different kind of bins. And the days where they pick up the glass trash, so bottles and etc., it's like 5:30 in the morning, and you hear these massive broken glass sounds, because they basically pick the trash bags, and they throw them all on top of the truck. And yeah. And it invariably wakes me up every time. But here in Rome, we don't have that kind. It's all in the same bag, trash bag, because we are still in the 19th century here. So we've talked about trash bags and trash trucks. Let's see if Whittables can defend himself, but he's lacking something. I don't know if he clipped the wall
Oh
and
dear.
he's letting him away. He's letting him go. So
Yeah.
Whittables, certainly, he always comes for an interview, so hopefully he comes this time again because I want to hear, from him about what happened there. And also, see Metherol defending from Van Buel. So Metherol, another driver that after the pit stop lost one position to Boland. Now he's about to be under attack from Van Buel.
Yeah, Tom will be frustrated today because he was running quite a comfortable third place. Did have a 3-second gap over the rest of the field on that final step on the rostrum earlier on, but now he's barely hanging on to 6th place. To be fair, Van Buren will be annoyed as well after that failed undercut attempt. Van Buren had a slightly longer pit stop, had about a 2-second longer pit stop, and really, in the grand scheme of things, that move just made the difference because he's only well, he's one second behind Boland, and yeah, not too far behind Phillips either. Also, Hopley and Van der Linden are quite close to one another at the moment. Hopley at one point was as much as about 8 seconds up the road. But now the gap is down to just 2 seconds, and on that last lap, Van der Linden was half a second faster. You always see this series races kind of get quite excited in the last 15 minutes, and there's the potential for that now, seeing that we've got the battle for second place overall and in the gold championship, and also the lead for the silver championship as well. Uh, the majority of the battles in the bronze category are pretty much over. Scott Malcolm and Ben Thames are actually having a decent battle. Also, haven't mentioned it all race long because it's not usually that much of an issue around this circuit. But the incidents, we 25 instant limits, and at the moment the closest anyone's got is about 15. Ben Thames is actually on 15 right now. He's on more than anyone else, but that's due to a couple of 4Xs. As Thames just having to lift out of the throttle there, lets him past Andrew Hopley.
Yes, now taking it a bit wide here, Griffin Bend, so he loses a little bit of momentum. He has to stay put for the time being in this fight for P4 and 5 of the bronze category. So as per usual, with 7 minutes to go, let's give you a roundup of the positions in each of the 3 classes then. And we start, of course, with the gold, which also doubles for the overall lead of the race today. Martin van Loosenhoorn is your leader. Andrew Hopley is in second, 2.3 seconds behind. He is dealing with the 2 drivers we were watching just a few minutes ago. Tains and Malcolm is P3. Marcel van der Linden in fourth. Dion Philipsen in fifth. It's Bob Boland. Then for the silver class, Ronald Moons, your leader, 0.7 of a second over Steve Clay, so very close battle. David Whittables certainly dealing with some issues. He's in P3. In fourth place, Stuart Musselwhite, and in fifth, it's Ben Muse, who is under big pressure from Robbie Carenda from Nomad Sim Racing. This will be a tasty battle towards the end of the race. Surprisingly, or maybe not, it's David Fuller who's dominating the proceedings. In the bronze class, Ben Llewellyn is in second, Thijs Berg in third, Scott Malcolm fourth, and Ben Thames in fifth place. So it's all getting ready for the final 5 minutes and a bit, Sam. Let's see if we have some changes. I'm expecting some fireworks, especially from the silver class battle.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the one that matters. By all means, hasn't won a race so far this season. I believe I will frantically just check. Yeah, Sherman's won the first round, and then Whitball's rounds 2 and 3. And then Sherman's round 4, Whitball's round 5, DeWolf round 6, and it looks like so we're going to have a new winner, 5th winner, if I've got that right. Maybe 4th winner, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, for Ronald Means. But, because Steve Clay's extremely fast driver, House Clays hasn't won a race so far this season, I'm not quite sure. Should have won at Donington at round 1, but had 2 crashes, and even then still finished on the podium, and was only about 5 seconds off the win. Ever since then, with the emergence of Davy Witterballs and the competitiveness of the other drivers, has failed to really make too much of an impact. But today, a fantastic chance to put an end to that. He's still got one car in the way, the Race Masters Esports car. David Witterballs quite a long way off these drivers now, so it doesn't look like he's going to contend for that race win. Only 4 minutes to go. I'll be interested to see how these guys' laps kind of match on to the race leaders, because they are about half a lap off the race lead currently.
Yes, as we jump on board with Steve Claes and see what we were talking about earlier, so pushing to the limit. You can see, of course, it's a fine balance between pushing hard but also risky and getting maybe the victory, but also throwing it all away so close to the finish line. I mean, these guys have been to war today. You can see the damage, especially on the front end of Ronald Moon's car. I think he also got some, a little bit of contact in that massive pileup. I think, I mean, we've seen some big pileups in the years commentating. I remember the one in the Euro V8s in Okayama, but these cars were to a complete stop. It was quite, it was a first for me in, at least in a commentating, position to comment on a, roadblock, a true roadblock, as Karen Duff and Muse are side by side for silver. But let's go back to this fight here, because I think Claes wants to get the move done.
Oh, here we go. Down the inside into the final corner, takes a little bit of curve, moves us out on the grass. That might just compromise his exit just enough for Steve Claes to take the lead in the silver category. He's going to have the better line. He's certainly going to have the position going into turn one, but Moons maybe has the better run. He's got to get right back into the slipstream and try to pull alongside by the time they get into turn two. The Mercedes is catching not too strong the slipstream effects in these GT3 cars. Claes will go to, Moons will go to the outside of the circuit. Now, how brave is he on the brakes? Does he have to make this move straight away? He doesn't feel as though he has to, just backs out of it for now. But Steve Claes into the lead in the silver category. And, well, that might be the decisive move. It might be the move that brings him his first race victory of the season.
I was a bit surprised by the lunge he made in the final corner, but he made it work, and now he gets a nice reward, first place for all his trouble. So good driving, 12 places gained since the start of the race from Steve Claes. Also, we have the David Fuller fan club back in the race chat. Better late than never, with only a few minutes left. And someone is saying, when I grow up, I want to be just like David Fuller, which is a great compliment. Where is Iwan Marshall?
He is in the gravel trap. And he should get to the end of the race.
But that car is
Maybe
not working, I think.
Well, that's a shame for Ewan Marshall. He was going to finish in 9th place in the silver drivers. He was going to finish in 11th place, I believe. And, well, it's another occasion of a driver turning into the wall and then losing control and, well, hits the other wall that bit harder out of the race.
I don't know if this is the final lap of the race or not. We shall see in a bit. But this is not over. Ronald Moons wants to have at least another shot at Steve Claes. Let's see if he's able to do so. As we are following also on the live timing the position of Martin van Luzenoord, because he might be very, very close to winning this race. But let's follow these two guys as they go on Mountain Straight for the 29th time tonight.
Yeah, so he stayed close, to be fair, has Moons. 0.3 of a second behind. It's all about staying close around this part of the circuit. Ever so difficult to do, because you can imagine when you've got to absolutely pick your apexes perfectly. It's extremely difficult when you're following another driver a little bit blindsided. Van Luzenoord, he's got 10 seconds to go. Is this going to be the checkered flag?
No, I don't think so.
He should get one lap in. Yes, he crosses line with about 2 seconds to go. And, well, that could cause mayhem for a few of the drivers out there in terms of fuel. We always big this up in terms of the fuel. It doesn't usually really materialize into anything. But we will certainly keep an eye out for it, particularly Ronald Means. Watch out for him because he took a very short pit stop earlier on. But maybe that slipstream from the car had just aiding him a little bit. And some nice braking there from Means, taking an early apex. Comes out of the corner. He's about 0.38 to a second behind. So he's going to have a chance at responding to that move that Clay's puts on him a couple of laps ago.
Bit surprised that iRacing didn't show us the Marshal waving the white flag. I certainly will report this to them. Moons using all of the slips, which is not that big in these GT3 cars. Certainly keeping it close, he's giving himself a chance, but he needs more. He needs a little bit of a lunge, something, maybe a mistake from Clays, if he wants to get this race victory. What a fantastic and thrilling battle for the silver class. These two guys are really putting it all on the line. The final lap starts for them as well.
Or is this his last chance, perhaps? Turn 2. 0.3 of a second behind. He's closing a little bit, quarter of a second. 0.2 of a second. It's going to have to be one almighty lunge if he's going to go for this one. He's thinking about it. And he's closer than he was on the last lap. But that might just be his best chance gone. He's still got half a chance maybe at the end of the straight, where Martin van Liesnold is now exiting. And he is approaching the line now. This will be his 6th race victory of the season. Martin van Liesnold approaches the line and he wins at Bathurst. And what domination it was from him once again. Really never in doubt whatsoever. He wins the race by approximately 20 seconds or so, with Andrew Hopley finishing in 2nd position and Marcel van der Linden a close 3rd.
Yes,
Steve Clay is still leading the way in
yeah,
the
we
silver
had some
category.
issues for Stuart Musselwhite. He had to pit. I think also Ben Mews is pitting, if I'm not mistaken. So a couple of drivers running into issues with their fuel. Oh, my dog, fantastic. Just in time for the final moments of this fantastic fight. And just behind these guys, we have the bronze leader, David Fuller, as
You
we
should have
are...
just pretended it was like a new addition to the sim. A random dog barking sound at the end of the race. Steve Clays, he's going to hang on to this one, surely, to claim his first race victory of the season. Ronald Means is going to be annoyed with this one, losing out on the race win with just a couple of laps to go. And it's Steve Clays who wins in the silver category. Well done to him. David Fuller will be the next across the line. He had a setback at Sebring last time out. It should really be a 100% record for him still in the bronze category. But after not a fantastic qualifying, he has been dominant in the race. And for Team GB Esports, he's going to make it 7 out of 7 for the team. He's going to make it 6 out of 7 for himself. He wins at Bathurst.
You know, if he keeps this up, he's going to basically drop that Sebring result and maybe another one. And, you know, he could really end up basically ending the season on max points, you know, if we consider, you know, the drops, etc. Ben Llewellyn, P14. And in 15th, we should have our last running car. Yes, it's Stuart Musselwhite. So, just waiting for a few seconds as everyone has parked. We can go, Sam, through the final race results of the night.
Yes, and it's Martin van Liesnoord winning out here at Bathurst. 24 seconds clear in the end of Andrew Hopley. Absolutely did it with ease. Nice result for Hopley, by far his best result of the season, I believe. Yeah, thoroughly well done to him. He will gain a few places in the championship, no doubts after that. Marcel van der Linden was in 3rd place, more solid points for him, another podium for him, with Dion Phillips a good 4th. Bod Bowden, nice recovery after running kind of in about ninth place in the early stages. He ends up in 5th with Ruben Van Buell, a little bit frustrated with 6th after a failed undercut attempt. Tom Metal was running as high as 3rd place at one point, but ends up in 7th with Gregory Ranks, a very quiet 8th place, but still solid performance from the experienced driver. Steve Clays finished top of the Silver Drivers, making a late move on Royal Moons in the closing stages. He rounds out the top 10. Davey Witzboss finished a long way off them in the end. Maybe we'll have a chat with him. Was leading the silver category for much of the race, ends up in 3rd position. David Fuller won the bronze category from 41st on the grid as well, finishes in 12th overall. Very impressive once again from him. Bobby Carenduff, a little bit of a quiet race, but nice result for him in 13th overall, with Ben Llewellyn in 14th overall from 31st on the grid. Stu Musselwhite had to come into the pits very late, just cost him the one position, I believe, finishing in 15th overall. And then behind that was were drivers one lap down, Benjamin Mears, Thijs Berg, Roy Verke, William Bush, and Ben Thanes rounding up the top 20, and then 2 laps down was Stephen De Wolf. Quite remarkable how De Wolf was only 2 laps down, considering he got involved in that first lap shunt and also another crash later on. Ewan Marshall and Scott Malcolm were 3 laps down. Dryers Moody was 4 laps down. John McConville was 8 laps down. Then the well and truly retired drivers were. There's quite a few of them. James Hobden, Ian Roots, Kevin Boland, Stephen Castrop, Kevin van der Slick, Craig Jones, Lee Deemer, Matthias Titij, Nick Shermans, Seb Herberer, Lee Woodburn, Jeremy Hessels, Sam Bentham, and Chris Murata, who started up in 5th place, by the way. Very disappointing for Chris, his best qualifying of the season, but it did not reap any rewards in the end. So, interviews with the drivers, and well, there isn't really anyone else that we can have an interview with until we have a chat with Martin van Leesmiller. Once again, Martin, an absolute dominant display today, 24 seconds, but I imagine around such a difficult circuit, it was a bit more difficult in the cockpit than it looked to us.
Hello, guys. Yeah, thank you. And was a tough race, definitely, because you need to keep the car out of the walls, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And were you pushing for the entire race? I was saying to Marco earlier on how if you start backing off, often that's kind of when mistakes can happen because you're not used to driving at kind of 50%. So how were you keeping up that intensity?
Yeah, true. It is true that when you, I perform best. I'm the most consistent when I'm 110% every lap. But I felt the tires were going off, so I had to back off a little bit, and yeah, that was it basically, and kept it out of the wall. So maybe a bit luck.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect in the end. What happened on that opening lap? We saw you lost the lead to Andrew momentarily before regaining it very quickly.
I think it was just my reaction response because I just think Andrew had a really good yeah reaction time there. So and I was just a little bit later. So and we can only go on full throttle when the lights go on green. That's a sort of rule. So yeah, I was just a bit late, I think.
Yeah, so it's very difficult in that situation as the poll sits. And next time we head to not Bathurst. We've just been to Bathurst. Watkins Glen, for what looks like the boots layout with the chicane as well. Classic circuit for these GT3 cars. Is that one that you tend to go well round?
Yeah, I like that one. Uh, I used to lead in the Pro Series with the FW31, but I lost it on lap 6 or something on my own with on a bump coming out of turn 1. So I do think I'm doing quite well on the track, but it could also go terribly wrong. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck for that one, Martin. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys first of all, the team and the sponsors. I would like to say good job on Steve for winning the silver class. Unfortunate for Steve and Kevin for not finishing, and congrats to Andrew as well. I'm not sure who was finishing first in the bronze class, but it was probably David Fuller. So congrats to him as well.
You were correct with that one. Thank you, Martin, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Now, next up, we will have a chat with, well, we're going to have a chat with our silver winner and our first time silver winner, who we rudely interrupt as well. But Steve, you've come close a few times this season to getting a win, but finally you've done it. You must be delighted.
Well, I'm very surprised to say I did it at Bathurst. Like, that's not really my track. So I was really surprised that I'm not gonna say I was on pace because I wanted to go a little bit faster. But okay, in the end, silver win. So I'll take it and shut.
Those closing stages with your battle with Ronald were extremely tense. We saw you go for a slightly unorthodox move down into the final corner. Did you? That was quite an ambitious move. What was the thinking behind that? Do you think that was your only chance at maybe getting the overtake?
No, not really. I was just looking out, seeing what he would do, and it was a pass, but I was surprised that I got it from the first time. I was thinking, okay, he's going to fight harder, and when we went on the straight at the start finish line, I looked to the right and I saw he was a little bit behind me. I really thought he would have the pace or the speed to pass me for turn one. So I was kind of surprised I managed to pass him. But mostly I was just following, seeing what was possible. It's not that very easy to pass. The track was getting very hot, so it was very slippery. So I didn't want to make any contact neither.
In the championship now, I think you go from 5th place all the way up to 2nd place with the issues for Hessels and Shermans and De Wolf as well. Have you got your eyes on any particular position in the championship? Do you still think you can catch up to Davey in the lead?
Well, I'm here to win the championship, but it's going to be very hard with the let's say bad results I had, crashes. I had 2 time a qualify ban, so it's very hard to get back up to the front and have a little bit of points. So it's going to be very hard. But okay, I'm gonna fight for it, and I enjoy racing with Davey. He has a strategy behind it, and I understand it completely. So I'm going for the first position, and if not possible, then second is okay. But we're here to win, right?
Absolutely, everyone should be. Really good to talk to you, Steve. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank the admins, and I want to thank everybody who was at the meeting last weekend, because we had a meeting at Circuit Zolder, a real live meeting, and it was great fun. We had a barbecue, we had fun, we had chit chat, much laughs, prize giving and stuff. So really want to thank everybody that was present there, and I'm hoping for next year's meeting.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, guys, thank you. See ya.
Now, Marco, I believe you've sorted out your animal. Would you like to interview anyone?
Yes, yes. Let's talk with the bronze winner. Let's talk with David Fuller, and let's bring him with us. Hello, David.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing fine. Congratulations for getting back on the top step of the podium. Of course, last week I wasn't in the broadcast booth, but I've been told about your bad luck, so it must feel good to, get everything sorted and go back to the winning ways.
Really, really, really good. I didn't want to take any chances going forward, so I basically wiped the computer, reloaded Windows today, reloaded iRace and everything. That's why I nearly missed qualifying. Well, I might as well have missed qualifying, to be honest. basically I loaded into iRacing and all my settings were off, so I had to sort of play around with that. I've had no practice. I've been away with work, so I pretty much just wanted to get in the race and then just see what happened. And I think I was pretty lucky. Got through quite a few crashes at the start.
Were you behind or in front of that pile up in the first lap? Because it
Well,
seems
I
like
started plumb last.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you are
started
right.
last.
You are
Yeah.
absolutely right. So yeah, tell us about your experience then.
So I don't know what happened in qualifying. I thought I put a lap in, but for some reason it didn't count. I must have got an off track somewhere. So yeah, started last, and I just thought, right, try and hang back and then see what happens. But then I think the first couple of corners, I think a couple of other people had the same idea. So I think I took like 3 places on the run up to the mountain. And then it looked like, I think there was a Sim Racers World. I don't want to point fingers, but he looked like he just kind of stopped the car at do you know the left-hander, the first sort of tight left
Mhm.
as he's starting to go up. It looked like he just kind of, on the replay anyway, it looked like he stopped and then everybody just sort of plowed in the back. But because luckily I was at the back, so I just I got the yellow flags. Crew chief was saying there's been a crash and what have you. So I just basically just cruised up behind and waited for everybody to go.
Yeah, it was quite amusing to see everyone stop basically, and some drivers are more reactive than others, so there's been some contact there. But this basically, left 2/3 of the field with a massive gap already in lap one. But luckily for you, the bronze drivers were all there, so no one ran away, and got a nice victory. And what about next week then? We are racing at another classic racetrack, one much more suited, I think, to side by side racing, like Watkins Glen.
Is it Watkins Glen next week? Is it?
Sam told me so.
Yes, that's what the calendar says, at least.
I've no idea. I've been working away like a couple of days, so I'm sort of lost. Like, hopefully I'll get some more practice in for this one. But yeah, I like Watkins. It's a nice car. Should be good for the Mercedes as well. I'm just not looking forward to those temperatures though. Like 40 degrees around there was horrible at the end.
Also, I think maybe if it is published in time, the race will use the weather for the 6 hours of the Glen, special event. So we will know about that. But until next week, before we let you go, David, anyone you like to thank?
Yeah, you guys for the broadcast. I look forward to watching it back. I'm sure it was very entertaining with all with all the incidents that happened. The team, Team GB Sports, the lads obviously spot on. Unlucky for Sam, he got caught up in the first lap incident. I think he would have took the bronze win otherwise. And that's it really. Yeah, Ian for hosting the event. The usual really.
Well, thank you very much, David, and catch you next week then.
Yeah, see you next week.
So I think we can, Sam, we can have a chat with Andrew Opley if you want.
Yes, let's do that. Yes, Andrew Hopley is with us now, and what a terrific performance it was for Andrew today. Second place overall. Yeah, what was going on out there, Andrew? That's by far your best result of the season.
Yeah, evening guys. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. Astonished, surprised, lucky. I don't know. Yeah, you could throw all of them out there. It was one of those. The BMW is strong around Bathurst, and I've got a bit of a sweet spot around there as well. So I think the two combined. But yeah, I didn't expect to be on P2. In fact, my first ever front row start. So really, really nervous the first 2 laps to the point where my legs were shaking. You know.
Well, you certainly didn't seem nervous on that opening lap because you casually took the lead of the race. Couldn't hang on for it for too long, but just take us through that start because Martin earlier on just said how you just seem to have that bit better reactions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I reacted. I don't know whether it was better or not because leading down into the first turn, I thought I'd jumped the start. I really did. So I was really sort of confused going down the first straight, thinking, is this black flag going to pop up, or have I actually jumped the guy at the start? It was one of those. It was yeah, it was my first time going green on the front row. So if that's the way it's going to go down, then put me up there more, please.
Late on in the race, you came under a little bit more pressure from Marcel van der Linden. He closed the gap from about 8 seconds down to as close as about 2 seconds at one point. Were you struggling maybe with the hotter temperature slightly, or was he just slightly faster in race conditions?
I would say pressure. The pressure was getting to me, as well as the temperatures. It was. I think given a solid lap was put down between the both of us, we were on a similar pace. I was keeping an eye on his lap times. If anything, he was a tenth or two quicker than me. And I made because I had a solid gap. No thanks to Tom for sort of keeping them behind and letting me sort of run away a little bit, really. So I had a 10-second gap, I think it was, I think it might have been 8 seconds just before the pit stop. So I had a good pit stop. And then coming round after my first outlap, I almost spun on the first turn just as Van der Linden was coming out the pits, and that gap disappeared down to about 3 seconds. And then I knew then that he was going to put a charge on, and I just had to sort of knuckle down and do what I could do. But yeah, the pressure definitely got to me, definitely. And the temperature was an issue, but I think it was more to do with the pressure than anything.
Yeah, we saw you have to deal with quite a lot of traffic as well in the closing stages. At some points, it looks very difficult, particularly around the mountain section, to get those moves done. But you seem to kind of take a bit of advantage from it and manage to pull out a little bit more of a gap over Marcel in the final few laps.
Yeah, I think we came through the pack twice, and the first time I think I did catch them on going up the mountain, but credit to those guys. I wasn't paying attention to see what positions they were in and whether they were fighting, but I believe it was Ben Taines. Let me through going up the mountain, so it's credit to him. Thank you for that. And John, really pulled out of the way as well. So the second time we came through the pack, I was fortunate enough to get onto the back of him coming down to the chase and round that section leading up to the mountain again. So it wasn't too bad. But again, both the lads were courteous enough to let me through. And I was praying then that Van der Linden was going to get stuck in the traffic going up the hill. But he seemed to get through, because I remember coming down out of the elbow, and the gap hadn't gone up that much. It was maybe 3 or 4 tenths it had gone up. So he'd done well to get through the traffic over the hill, over the mountain, and I knew then, it was going to be a fight to the end. But I think within 2 laps to go, he must have made a mistake coming down the hill, coming down the mountain, because that gap shot up to about 5 seconds, and I could just take a breather then.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you today. And is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, well, firstly, Tom, cheers, buddy. Awesome teamwork, and appreciate that. But Meraki, the lads in general, we've been together, coming up for 2 years, most of us now, and it's a solid team, so we get on really well. So shout out to the lads. Thanks for putting up with me with the first half of the season, complaining about the Audi. I've not been in the best of moods, but we're back in the BMW, and it seems to be going better for us now. Simracersworld, what can I say about those guys? A fantastic group of lads. And that community is only growing stronger and stronger. Shout out to Apex, shout out to Manfat, a local group of lads that I work with. They're always having a crack, keeping me sane. So shout out to those lads.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, boys. Take care.
So that was Andrew Hopley, your second place, Joe. And next up, we will have a quick interview with Davey Witzballs. And Davey, well done. Now, they're more solid points for you. Another podium in the silver category. But just before you talk about anything else, just what happened in those final few laps? What caused you to lose 20 seconds in comparison to your rivals?
Good evening, guys. Well, actually, nothing happened. I'm just counting. If I had a clean race with 0x, I have 3 extra points. I'd also the pole for in silver class, so that's also 3 extra 3 extra points. So that makes 6 extra points. So I'm just counting and keep it safe, and the others, yeah, let them battle. I just take the points.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important to do that. We've spoken to a few drivers struggling with the warm temperatures towards the end of the race. Would you say it's getting easier to deal with that as the season goes on, as it's something that kind of happens every round, or does it still catch you out quite often?
Well, the temperatures go up, yeah, but I practiced for it. I knew it was possible with high temperatures. But yeah, at the end I was driving so slow, so I had no problem with it. I think the last lap was more than 2 minutes 10 seconds or above. So yeah, I was driving very slow, and there was nobody that could catch me in silver. So yeah, just keep it safe and no problems with the temperature.
Yeah, absolutely. And next up, we head to Watkins Glen. Is that one that you enjoy?
Well, I like it much more than this track because this week the track, it was the first race I ever drove it. Um, yeah, it was very difficult in the beginning to get used to it, but eventually it worked out. But next week, yeah, I like Watkins Glen very much, and yeah, I hope for a good result.
Well, it's been great to watch you out there today. Davey, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, like always, you guys for the broadcast, Ponte Motorsport, the organization, Sim Racing Bay, and my family.
Thanks, Davey, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
So that was Davey Witzbos, and that pretty much rounds out our interviews for the evening. So, Marco, another terrific round. We always say it, but we always seem to have a fantastic, tight finish for one of the leads in the race, and undoubtedly the highlight, I think, of the race was that Clay's Moons battle towards the end for the silver victory. But yeah, just another terrific round and another controversial round around this Bathurst circuit.
Yes, and next week we are heading for Watkins Glen. Absolutely one of the best tracks. Everyone knows Watkins Glen, so I'm expecting, it's basically the most popular track in iRacing after the free tracks. So everyone knows it. Everyone has done thousands and no, hundreds of races, maybe thousands on that particular racetrack. So I'm expecting everyone to bring their A game, and it's going to be another fantastic, fantastic race. Like I said, if the weather for the special event is published, we are scheduled to run with the 6 hours of the Glen weather, a race which the rumors are saying there might be the return of the Sebring 12 hours winner. Yours truly in the iRacing Enduro, but
Ooh, ho, 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 ho.
still
Watch out.
still a long way, not a long way to go, but it's still a bit. And of course, we also have to mention that we have rounded the first half of the season. Now we are well and truly to the second you know half of the season. We are 5 races away, and the calendar is fantastic. We're going to have the Glen on the 12th, on the 19th of June, Zolder, Mosport on the 26th. The 3rd of July, we are going to be in Monza, and on the 10th of July, we are going to be in Brands Hatch. So, I mean, One thing I noticed, and I didn't know it, is that it's not only Spa that is always in the schedule of the championship, but there are also two tracks that are per the law always in the schedule: Zolder and Branzach. So yeah, it's something that I learned just the other day, but now makes more sense that we are finishing the season at Branzach. But what a fantastic calendar to round up the season! Lots of different tracks. Every track that we are about to go to is different, and they all bring out different styles of driving and different characteristics that you need to have from the car and the setup. So honestly, Sam, I absolutely cannot wait for the next round. And before that, also a reminder on it's week 13, so there is not a lot going on, but unluckily for you, all the broadcasts we do this week will involve me. This one, of course. Thank you for watching. Then on Saturday at 12 GMT, the final round of the Simracersworld GT Series, Road America. And then later in the afternoon on the Dinners with Racers channel, we are going to broadcast a special event with the NASCAR Cup Cars live from Detroit, the road circuit. And that is going to be a threat. Last time around, we were with the Skippies at Indianapolis, and I had the absolute pleasure of being joined in the booth by Ricky Taylor and Jordan Taylor of IMSA and Le Mans competition fame. This time around, we are going to have Justin Marks and Ryan Lewis, two real-life race drivers. Justin Marks, of course, is a driver for the Meyer Shank Racing in the IMSA Championship. So it's always nice to have these real drivers, and this will be on the it's for fun, and it's we had a lot of fun commentating the Skippies at Indianapolis, and these Cup cars. I tried the Cup cars around. I tried the trucks around Detroit. They are a handful, and usually this championship has like 40-50 starters. So it's going to be crazy. It is the same guys that 2 months ago did the LMP1s at Bristol. Also, we broadcasted that on that channel. So you don't want to miss that. Then from Monday, I think we're back to the regular scheduled programming, Sam, with if they're going to come back the MX5s, Rick Motek, and then Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we are enjoying this week 13 semi-break for us, but it's almost time to get back to work on Monday.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Will be fantastic to get into the proper swing of things. I must say, for myself, it doesn't actually make any difference because I just do the year V8s and this, and no breaks. Well, unfortunately, there is a break currently going on for the year V8s, not related to week 13. But yeah, certainly do tune into all of our broadcasts occurring over the next week or so, and of course, do not miss that next round of the Simracersworld GT Series at Watkins Glen next Wednesday. So for now, from me and from Marco as well, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.